welcome back, Bakang, to day 2 of the Art of Learning Go course. So we're going to have a look at today's email. There's some teaching there. I want to just talk about the breath and breath work. Maybe we'll go into a little meditation, a breathing meditation, and then we're going to look at the principles of miracles, which is a section from the text. All right, so I'm just going to share my screen with you. Let's have a look, see that. Okay. There we go. Share screen. Okay, so if you can see that okay?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Yeah. So if you can read that quote from Eckhart Tolle on breath to kick it off.
Okay, it goes. Because breath has no form as such, it has since ancient times been equated with spirit, the formless one life. The fact that breath has no form is one of the reasons why we breathe awareness. Is an extremely effective way of bringing space into your life, of generating consciousness. Being aware of your breath forces you into the present moment, the key to all inner transformation. Whenever you are conscious of your breath, you are absolutely present. You may also notice that you cannot think and be aware of your breathing. Conscious breathing stops your mind.
Conscious breathing stops your mind. So some very good points made by Eckhart. It's why breath is a foundation of spiritual practice in many traditions. The yogic tradition, they have the pranayama, which is breath control, which is one of the 8 limbs of yoga. So Eckhart's talking about the power of conscious breathing to connect us with our source or spirit. So breath is formless. It's just about air, breathing in, breathing out. And so it connects us with source or spirit, which is also formless. The idea that breath gives us life is a very ancient one. The Latin word spiritus and the Greek word pneuma, both mean breath and also soul or spirit. So in these ancient languages, they understood the connection. So that's why it was synonymous. It meant breath, but it also meant soul or spirit, because the ancients had figured out that breath was a way to connect with your soul or spirit. The German word for breathing, atmen, is derived from the ancient Sanskrit word atman, meaning the indwelling divine spirit or God within. So it's in many languages, you see this connection. So in Genesis, this is a quote from the Bible, Genesis 2, chapter 7, verse 7. I'm going to read that.
It says, God formed man from the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living being.
So there's this idea in the Bible that the breath and life are synonymous. It's a very ancient idea. Breath is a symbol of life, and therefore the breath can become a tool for accessing this life essence, which is why they have the same word, for just one word describing breath as well as soul and spirit, because the breath is a key to accessing that and experiencing that life essence that you are, that is intangible, it's formless. And so the ancients discovered this, and that's why they incorporated things like pranayama, breath control, into these ancient transformational practices like yoga, because they saw that, you know, when you did breathe consciously with awareness, it helped you to connect with your life essence. You could experience that in and through the practice of breath work much more fully, much more deeply. And so it was part of a process of transformation into your higher self. Totally, someone totally identified with the soul or the spirit in you. Well, the breath can help you in that process because it connects you with your soul or spirit. And it stops the mind. So if you notice, whenever you just focus on your breathing, well, we'll do a little exercise now, a little meditation. Just focus on your breathing. What happens to your thoughts? You,
Your thoughts stop. You're no longer thinking, or you're no longer focusing on your mind.
if you can just focus on breath awareness, then that's where your attention is going. You're not thinking anymore. And you'll notice how hard it is to do that because the mind wants to think. And so you watch your breath for probably not very long. Maybe some people can manage 10, 20 seconds. And then the mind comes in and thoughts come in and you forget to watch your breath and your mind is thinking again. Well, that's okay, you know, to beat yourself up for it. Just know that that's the nature of the monkey mind, as the Buddhists call it. You know, jumping around, always looking for something to latch onto. So if you understand that's what it is, you can counter it. Stop the chatter of your monkey mind by just observing the breath. Whenever the mind goes, you go, no, I'm going to bring my attention back to this deep, slow, rhythmical breath. And that's a way of starting to get control of your mind. As I said, you know, with that addict, she had no control of her mind. So a basic just sit and watch your breath was too much for her. Her mind's all over the shop. She couldn't discipline it to the point of just being able to sit for a few minutes and observe your breath. Okay, it's an extreme example, but many people struggle because their mind is so undisciplined. Their monkey mind is just jumping all over the place that they really struggle. And then they go, well, it's too difficult, I won't do it. No, the point is you should persevere with it. Because by just being able to observe your breath and not react, even if it's just for a minute or two at a time to start with, you are building this awareness. You're growing this awareness, which is essential if you're going to go on the spiritual path and awaken. Okay, so any other questions about the breath? I think let's do a meditation on it, given we're talking about it. It's really, the breath is not something you can theorize about too much. You know, I've given you the background and say,
Yes.
okay, fair enough. But that understanding alone isn't going to do anything. You know, it's actually experiencing it. So let's do a breathing meditation, shall we?
Okay, sure.
All right, so yeah, so this is a diaphragmatic breathing meditation. So this is the first technique in our breathwork course. I'm going to teach you. So just sitting comfortably, feet shoulder width apart, your back straight. You can cup your hands in your lap. Close your eyes. And start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. And notice how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. And a sip of air in, breathe at the top of the inhale. And we're just going to observe your breath, noticing any thoughts, emotions, related body sensations going on, particularly anything that feels negative or limiting or contracted, constricted in any way, and you just blow it out through your nose. Exhale, notice how the chest and the stomach suck back in. And then you just repeat the cycle. So just nice, deep, slow, rhythmical breaths. Breathing in. And then breathing out. At the bottom of the exhale, breathe in again. Then breathing in, observe the sensations of the breath in your nostrils. Just observe that. And just keep breathing. Nice, deep, slow, rhythmical breaths. Put one hand on your stomach and notice how as you breathe in, stomach rises. And you just observe the breath. So focus your attention on the sensations of the breath in your nostrils. As how it flows in. And then flows out. And with each breath, just find you getting a bit more relaxed, just slipping in to a deeper state of mind, a deeper awareness. I want you to just focus all your attention on very subtle sensation of the air. Just observing the sensations in your nostrils as you breathe in. If your mind wanders as you're just watching the breath, which it will tend to do, just when you notice that, just bring your attention back to the breath and focus all your attention on the subtle sensations of the breath in your nostrils. Also notice how the breath flows over your upper lip, the area between your nose and your upper lip. focus on that as well. So breathing in and breathing out. And getting more and more relaxed with each breath. And if the mind wanders and you find thoughts coming in about the past or the future, you just gently bring attention back to the breath. And so there's really nothing else to do, nowhere else to go. Just putting all your attention on the breath, noticing how air flows into the nostrils and out of the nostrils, noticing the subtle sensation of the air in your nostrils. Notice the touch of your breath on your upper lip, the area between your lip and your nose. So all you're going to do, your only job, only job is to let it go. By focusing all your attention on simple thing like the breath, it's your mantra essentially. You can let go of the monkey mind and thinking mind and just find a state of peace. So just keep watching your breath, observing the sensations of the breath. And if distracting thoughts and emotions come up, observe. And just keep watching your breath for a couple of minutes longer. Just observing the subtle sensation of the breath in the nostrils. Focus all your attention there. And observe how peaceful that makes you feel. And so now just gently coming back. And just bring some awareness back. It drifted off back into the breath, into the body. And on the count of three, you're going to open your eyes. So one, just breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pause at the top of the inhale. Smile. In your mind. Noticing whatever thoughts and emotions and related body sensations are going on, and just exhale them out, sigh them out. Notice how the air flows out, chest and the stomach suck back in, the energy subsides down from the crown of your head into your stomach and your groin. Count of two, feel the weight of your body pressing down into the chair and your feet touching the ground. Noticing what you're feeling and touching. Hearing, perhaps, whatever senses can engage them, and just notice without judgment. That's the key. The same calm, detached way. So the sensations are not you, they can't really do anything. That's what you're trying to learn. So noticing all of these things without judgment. If you just observe the breath, it's pure witnessing presence, no judgment. And notice how you feel now. Feel peaceful, calm. Everything is just perfect. And so just gonna, for the rest of the session, observe your breath. Watch the breath. Keep some attention on it. Use it as an anchor for the rest of the session. Can do this anytime, anywhere. So try and practice this tonight, tomorrow, and any interaction with someone, you can just come into true awareness through the breath. Great tool. So now, on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. Just take a moment to look around, observing in this calm, clear way various objects in the room around you, observing the breath still flowing in and out. And don't judge any of it, you're just a pure witness. Pure witness with no attachment. And so, spiritually speaking, that's what the breath can help you access, that formless, non-judgmental awareness in which you experience peace. And rise above the battleground of this world into that awareness. So that brings us to the end of the meditation and the breathing session. So, yeah, any comments, questions, thoughts on that? How did you experience it?
Yeah, I think when it started, there was the mind keep jumping, and then getting deeper and deeper and deeper into it. It started to change because I started focusing on the breathing and focusing on the breathing. And then from there, yeah, I just dwelt into breathing, and then the
Well,
whole
that's
body
good.
started to relax. Yeah, yeah. So I really enjoyed it. Yeah,
Mm.
it took me away from the day-to-day clutter.
Mm.
And I started to observe, that feeling being inside the meditation, versus, the mind running all over.
Mm.
It's peaceful, peaceful. And then coming back again, starting to observe without judging. I think, yeah, it felt like a very sacred place
Mm.
because you're looking, but you're not attaching any form of judgment to that. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, and it's a very peaceful state. So this is why the breath is so powerful, because it becomes a tool to get into that state. The breath itself is not what it's about. It's a tool to access a higher state of awareness. And the breath seems to be a particularly good tool to do that. And such an easy one. It's literally right under your nose. You don't need to pay
Yeah.
anything for this. Again, it's
Sure.
a bit like fast. These things are all available. They're right under your nose. They're free.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's huge benefits, but you've got to have some discipline to use them. So that's a foundational meditation practice. You can just observe your breath. And that if you can just get better and better at that, it can become a very powerful meditation. So
Okay.
definitely do that and incorporate it in there. You'll notice in the meditations I sent you, the breath break is incorporated. So I'll tell you to breathe. We should always start off with one deep power breath and then a letting go of whatever's cluttering your mind. So there's an entry point into the meditation, and then just sitting quietly and observing your breath. And be, hugely beneficial. So it's such a simple technique, but the simplicity underlies its benefits. It's enormously powerful, as you just experienced for only about 15 minutes we did it. Okay, so any other questions on the breath?
No questions on the breath meditation.
Hmm. So you can use it's such a simple technique. You can use it anytime. If you feel like you're feeling stressed, you're feeling like you need a break, just sitting and watching your breath in the way that I showed you for a few minutes or
Yeah. Yes, something that I just thought of now. So does the same breathing technique also help with, reaching higher levels of consciousness?
Mm.
Or is it,
Yeah.
or that gets refined over time once, the technique
Mm.
has been practiced and perfected?
Yeah, you get, the more you practice it, the better you get at going into a state of pure awareness without thought. But yes, it's that breath awareness that I just showed you. You're just aware of the breath and the sensations of the breath in your nose and this area just below your nose, between your nose and your upper lip. That is a part of a meditation practice called Vipassana, which the Buddha originally taught. So this was his transformational modality. He said you're going to do the Vipassana because it's going to help you become aware of your breath, and it's going to cultivate awareness. And so the he calls it anapana. Anapana in the Vipassana practice is essential. That's the start. That's the foundation. So it's got very ancient roots in these Eastern spiritual traditions. But, they've seen that breathwork works by practicing it. They've seen what it can do for your awakening, for stimulating higher awareness. Yeah. So it's such a simple thing you can practice. Just sit and watch your breath. And if you can do that for 10 minutes, the benefits are huge. Stress relief, relaxation benefits, all kinds of amazing benefits. So you have to be able to discipline your mind to do that. So yeah, I will spend some time doing that because I value what it brings me. The ego is going to tell you you've got better things to do, worldly things to do and accomplish, but actually it's not the case. It's just a lie and a deceiver. Yeah, so we'll do more every day. Watch the emails and the Telegram messages because I'm giving you a number of different techniques. That was the foundation, the basic, just observing the breath. It doesn't get simpler than that. But you always have it. Now you know it, you can always practice it.
Okay.
And you're putting in place now the foundations for the structure of exploration that I mentioned. I'm gonna actually just see if I can bring up this quote. It's very pertinent um, in this regard. Let's see if I can open that. Yeah. Okay, there we go. I'm just going to share my screen with you. So if you can read that, let's just blow it up a bit. Just read that quote because it really summarizes very well what I'm just trying to explain.
Yeah. Unless you put the house of your life, physical and verbal structures, in order, the urge for exploration of that which is beyond time and space will remain only a wish in the mind. If there is disorder in simple things of life like diet, sleep, exercise, breathing, trying to build a structure of exploration will be like building a house in the sand.
Hmm. And there's the nice, well-ordered house, and the house collapsed.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
no, it's a
the house
mess.
is yeah. So what we're trying to do with this course is build the structure of exploration on a solid foundation. get things like diet, sleep, exercise, and breathing right, so that you've got this solid structure for this, exploration of that which is beyond time and space, i.e., the eternal. Beyond time and space means it's infinite and it's eternal. So great quote, great practice, very simple one. You can practice this every day. You can practice this regularly every day. So what I've done to make your life easier is when we get to the lessons next week, I've incorporated the mind training lesson and this breathing into a mini meditation or breath break. So you can just listen to the recording, and then you will be practicing both the breathing as well as the idea for the day. And the breath, so the breath is very complementary. It complements other techniques and modalities. So you can use the breath in the way I've just said. You're just breathing, and that actually helps you be more conscious, helps you be more aware, and you can practice it with a mind training lesson like Course in Miracles. Just introduce some breathing into it. It's not going to negatively affect it in any way. Okay, so any other thoughts or comments on the breath, on that breathing technique? But I highly recommend you practice it every day. And if you're doing the meditations that I'll be sending you, you will be, because I incorporate that breath watching into virtually every meditation I do. And I guide.
Okay.
All right, so there's the meditation and a little chat about it afterwards. So let's have a look now at stop that. Okay. All right, so we're going to look now at the text. We did the introduction to the text yesterday and the preface, so you have an understanding of what it's about. This is section 1 of chapter 1, so the first part of the text. Given that it's about miracles, of course, in miracles it's called, yes, it's appropriate that principles of miracles is first up. So what I've done is translate. Each principle is 50 principles, and I've translated them into an alternative language, which I've written below, so you can read that for yourself. So what we're going to do is I'll ask you to read the original, and then the alternative, and then we'll discuss it briefly.
Okay.
All right, so we can start with number 1. There's a lot of difficulty in miracles.
There is no order of difficulty in miracles. One is not harder or bigger than another. They are all the same. All expressions of love are maximal. And then the alternative, there is no order of difficulty in corrections. One is not harder or bigger than another. They are all the same. All expressions of love are maximal.
So what's he saying in this one? In summary?
I think especially looking at the alternative, it just basically explains that the corrections are not difficult, and there is no specific correction that could be bigger or harder than the other. They're all the same. It's just
Mm.
correction of perception, and it's
Yeah,
neither bigger or harder than
yeah,
the other. Yeah.
yeah, and that's you can see why there's no order of difficulty in miracles, because you can correct your perception no matter what seems to have happened. It might be something extremely big, seemingly, and traumatic, and or it might be something minor, like just your friend borrowing some money and not returning it. But the change of mind, the correction of perception, is the same. So ultimately, there is no order of difficulty in these corrections, because a correction is a correction is a correction. It may seem to be more difficult to you, but that's just because you're blocked, you're stuck in one sense. And it's a major learning. There's no order of difficulty in miracles. Major learning accomplishment to learn that. There's goes against your ego's programming. The ego says no. There's definitely order of difficulty. How can you say that there's no order of difficulty? It's much easier to do some things than others. Some things are harder than others, and so this is not true.
Mm.
But if you look carefully, you see that it is true, because is it more difficult to make a correction in your perception in one instance than in another? No, it's the same process.
Yeah, it's
They
not.
seem to be more difficult to you, but you can always change your mind. And that's took me a long time to understand this. The miracle is just a correction of your perception. And you're always free to do that. So you can change your mind at any point. It doesn't have to take a long time or be extremely difficult. It's extremely difficult if you want to hold on to the ego's idea that there is an order of difficulty in miracles. All right. So number two, happy with number one. Let's move on
Number
to number
two,
two.
miracles.
Miracles do not matter.
Miracles are such as such do not matter. The only thing that matters is their source, which is far beyond evaluation. Alternatively, corrections as such do not matter. The only thing that matters is their source, which is far beyond evaluation. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So
think.
what's he saying here?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, the correction does not matter because the principle or the change in mind is the same, regardless of the correction. So then, what matters? It's what's causing the perception that needs the shift. And that's one thing that needs to be evaluated or corrected, the core essence of this, or the source of what has been causing the perception.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, the source, which is far beyond evaluation. Remember, that's capital source. So the corrections don't really matter. They're part of an illusion. But what matters is where they point you. Right? So think of them as signposts on the journey. This is quite a helpful way of thinking about it. If you're on a journey, you need the signposts, which give you the directions to the end destination. So they're very useful while you're on the journey, but when you get to the destination, there's no more need for corrections. Does that make sense?
Yes.
They point you. So the signpost just points you to the in the direction that you need to go. And so that's very helpful while you're on the journey. But once you've transcended the need to travel, you're not on a journey anymore, you've arrived, then the corrections are not necessary anymore, because what's there to correct?
Okay. So they're not pointing you to what you need to let go. They are pointing you to the destination.
Yeah, well, both. The correction is like, okay, you need to let go of this. And when you let go of it, it takes you in the direction of source.
Okay.
So remember, the only thing that blocks us is these false beliefs, thoughts, and emotions block us. So the correction says, well, be aware of those false beliefs, thoughts, and emotions, but let them go. There's another way looking at it.
Okay. Oh, I think I now get it. Hence the capital S on source.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
You've got to pay attention to capitalization. The source of the correction is God, or pure formless awareness of perfect love,
Okay.
ultimate source. So that the point of the corrections is not the corrections in themselves. The point is to connect you with your source and help you to realize that you and your source are one, that there is no separation. And that's the at-one-ment plan. When you realize that there's no separation between you and your source, you fully accept your source as you, then you're enlightened. That's the end of the game. Okay, I'm happy to move on to number 3.
Yep. Miracles occur naturally as expressions of love. The real miracle is the love that inspires them. In this sense, everything that comes from love is a miracle. And then the alternative version, corrections occur naturally as expressions of love. The real connection is the love that inspires them. In this sense, everything that comes from love is a correction.
That makes sense. Everything that comes from love corrects the lack of love. If it's true love coming from source, it corrects any lacks of love or blocks to the awareness of love's presence, however you want to phrase it. So only love is the only corrective power. But it's enough. If you use that power, it's enough to completely transform your mind and your life and awaken you from the dream. Okay, so I'm going to move on to number 4. All miracles mean life. God is a giver of life.
All miracles mean life, and God is the giver of life. His voice will direct you very specifically. You will be told all you need to know. The alternative version, all corrections bring life, and pure, formless awareness of perfect love is the giver of life. Its guidance will direct you very specifically. You will be told all you need to know.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
The
this one is,
alternative. Did you read the alternative?
yes.
All corrections bring life, and pure formless awareness of perfect love is the giver of life. Yeah, because it's your own awareness. This awareness is fundamental to your life. So they bring you into awareness and into an awareness of life. And you'll be directed very specifically, and you'll be told what you need to know. Which is very comforting.
Yeah. And
You'll be
also,
told all you need to know. Yeah.
yeah. And I'm also picking up that, when it says its guidance will direct you very specifically. So it's not cast in stone. It's not like a manual. The experience it's different for each individual. One has
Mm.
just got to follow the guidance to go to perfect love.
Mm.
So it sounds like a personal experience which is based on the previous perception of the false self.
Mm.
So the
Yeah,
principles.
the correction corrects any errors that you've made previously, and any errors in your perception about yourself and others. It corrects that with the principle of perfect love.
Mm.
That's guidance. So that's the paradox. Although it's pure formless awareness, it can give us very specific guidance about what to do, where to go, what to say in our lives, in specific situations that are context appropriate. So you can never, plan your whole life and have a bunch of rules. That's just ego. This just says, well, whenever you need guidance, it's there for you, which is where the course leaves us at the end of the workbook. He says, if you need a word, then you'll be given a word. If you need thoughts, you'll be given thoughts, and if you just need a tranquil, open mind, you'll be given these as well. So it leaves us in the charge of spirit. So these principles run throughout the course, but for most people, it's the first time they're going to have seen, what a miracle really is.
And then does that also entail going through the day to day of our normal lives, but at the same time, being aware or being on the lookout for the guidance? So we still
Yeah,
go on our day to day, we still do the meditation, we still go to work, but we become more aware that, there's a guidance, that can be directed to us, and we become open to it.
yeah, exactly. And you could say, this whole course is about listening to guidance. That's all it's really for. So that you can, at the end of it, it leaves you in the charge of the Holy Spirit and says, well, whatever you need will be given to you when you need it. I'm gonna give you this. In fact, let's bring it up in here. Lesson 359. Lesson 362. So this is where he leaves us. The last lesson, which is repeated 5 times in the workbook. You want to read that? This holy instant would I give to you.
This holy instant would I give to you. Be you in charge, for I would follow you, certain that your direction gives me peace. And then
And then the
alternatively,
alternative.
I am wholly aware now and every moment. I allow my true self to be in charge, and I follow only its guidance, knowing that it brings me peace.
So that's where he leaves us. And at the end of the workbook, he gives us lesson 5 times. And he's saying, so it's an important lesson. And then just to kind of add to that, he fleshes it out a bit in this paragraph. So if you can read that in there, just read it in the alternative. The remembrance of perfect love will give me the words.
The remembrance of perfect love will give me the words I need to help me. It will also give me a thought whenever I need one. And if I need only stillness and a tranquil, open mind, these are the gifts I will receive from it. It is in charge by my request, and it will hear and answer me because it speaks for pure, formless awareness of perfect love, my source, and its innocent extension.
Okay, so thoughts on that? What's he saying there?
Yeah. I think it's saying that, in essence, it's the Holy Spirit that will help and guide us. But we are also to listen and allow it, to actually guide us. It's the Holy Spirit that's in charge. It will answer, it will respond, as long as we tuned to, perfect love.
And you're saying in this principles that this guidance can be very specific, can help you with specific challenges, problems, issues you have. It'll tell you what to do, where to go, what to say, and who wouldn't want that power on your in your life?
Yeah, I think we all need it.
Well, what else is going to do this? What else knows exactly what to do, where to go? What else knows the whole plan? And that it's flawless. This guidance is always correct. It doesn't make mistakes. It's designed for your at-one-ment process. That's what all of it's for. So that's where he leaves us in the charge of the Holy Spirit at the end. And you can see, he's talking about this right at the beginning. His guidance will direct you very specifically, and you will be told all you need to know, which means we can relax. Yeah, well, if it's all under control. It's all being handled by a higher power, then you're okay. You just got to follow instructions. It's a bit like the sat nav. You put it in, you go, okay, you're going to take me home wherever or wherever the destination is. And then I've just got to follow the guidance. It's going to tell me to go left or go right, or because that's what it does. All I've got to do is follow it step by step. I don't have to go and reinvent it and question the instructions.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us, what we try to do, we actually try to guide ourselves, yet we don't know where we're going, or we try to win control and,
Yeah, yeah,
take over our steps. But at the same time, we don't know where we're heading.
yeah, exactly. I went a couple of years ago to a little place called McGregor in the Cape. It's about 2.5 hours out of Cape Town. And there's a road that goes out of McGregor that they call the road to nowhere because it seems to be going somewhere. But they ran out of money, and so it goes up into the mountains and it stops. So that,
Oh,
the analogy is that's like the ego. It looks like it's going somewhere, looks promising, but you're going to follow it and it's going to go nowhere. You get to a dead end and you've got to turn around and retrace your steps. So Yeshua's saying to us, well, I'm gonna give you the discernment to be able to know for yourself what is the right road and what is the wrong road. And you will be given the guidance by the Holy Spirit or remembrance of perfect love to take the right road. Because the Holy Spirit doesn't want you to waste your time and go down the wrong road and experience pain and difficulty and frustration. When actually take the right road and you let go of all that stuff and you are awakening. You're fulfilling your destiny.
yeah. And
And so
maybe,
corrections are the way that the guidance plays out in your life.
okay,
Okay. So let's
okay.
talk a bit more about the corrections. He says miracles are habits. 5.
Miracles are habits and should be involuntary. They should not be under conscious control. Consciously selected miracles can be misguided. And then the alternative, corrections are habits and should be involuntary. They should not be under conscious control. Consciously selected corrections can be misguided.
What's he saying in this one?
Yeah, I think on this one, I'm going to need a bit of help.
Uh-huh.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm going to need your guidance on this one.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Corrections are habits, should be involuntary. So it's not about trying to control this or force this. It's a habit of listening to guidance and saying, okay, I don't know, so show me. Show me what to do. Show me where to go. I'm not in control. I'm open to guidance. The problem is if you think that you know the way, then you're not open to the guidance of another thought system, are you? So the
Yes.
first part of the mind training is to get us to recognize that we're not under. We don't know what we're doing. We have no idea. Our own guidance system is completely flawed, and we don't want it anymore. So then we let go of that guidance system, thinking that we can do it on our own. And once you're doing that, you're then open to these corrections coming in and giving you the guidance you need. So it's saying don't try and control this process and consciously select your corrections because that's not a correction at all. It's misguided. It's going to lead you down the garden path back into the ego's thought system.
So then does that mean one just needs to surrender?
Yeah. Surrender to that. That doesn't mean a lot of people think, well, surrender means I'm just going to sit and do nothing. No, it means you surrender to the guidance. You say, okay, well, show me what I should do. I might have to take action and do stuff, but it's
Yes.
guided, not me doing it. Yeah, so not my will, but thy will be done. That's a quote from Yeshua in the Bible. In fact, when he was about to be arrested in the Garden of Gethsemane, he uttered those famous words, not my will, but thy will be done. So, okay, I will do whatever the guidance tells me to do, even if it means that I've got to go through this experience of crucifixion. I will follow the guidance because it's ultimately correct. And in his instance, it was. He followed his guidance, led him to the crucifixion, so that he could then go through the resurrection. And because of the crucifixion resurrection at the end of his life, his teaching became a world teaching. It became the foundation then of Christianity, which has profoundly changed the world. And without the crucifixion resurrection happening, that wouldn't have happened. So that's why he said, not my will, but thy will be done. That makes sense.
Yes.
Good. Okay, so happy to move on to number 6. Let's say hello to Elaine and ask if she wants to read. Elaine, do you want to read number 6? Miracles are natural.
Yeah. Corrections are natural. When they do not occur, something has gone wrong. Yeah.
So miracles or corrections are natural. They should be just a natural part of your life, is what he's saying. This is that you live in the domain of the miraculous. You live with these corrections happening all the time. That's what it means to live the course. That, okay, things arise, maybe the ego tempts you, but you make the correction, and that's very natural. It's part of how it's just the way you live. When they don't happen, then something's gone wrong. You've listened to the ego again. All right. Any other thoughts on that one? Let's go to number 7 then. Kang, if you can read that in the original and the alternative.
Miracles are everyone's right, but purification is necessary first. And then the alternative, corrections are everyone's right, but purification is necessary first.
So what's he saying in that one?
I think it basically says that, the purification, or if I can say the decluttering process, it's necessary. But for that to happen, there needs to be, correction is inevitable. It's everyone should go through the day-to-day, corrections, to the natural. But the essence of it is that, the purification, that's the only reason why it happens.
So the purification is letting go. When you let go of negative thoughts and emotions, that's the necessary purification, which leads to the correction. So only when they're willing to purify their thoughts does the correction happen. This is why letting go is it. That's all you need to learn. You need to learn to let go, because that letting go is the purification and the correction simultaneously of your mind.
Okay.
All right. Better go to number 8 then. Elaine, if you can read that. Just read it in the original and then the alternative.
Miracles are healing because they supply a lack. They are performed by those who temporarily have more for those who temporarily have less. Or corrections are healing because they supply a lack. They are performed by those who temporarily have more for those who temporarily have less.
Okay, so what's he saying in this one?
Well, the corrections are healing because they supply a lack. They're healing to others who have less. So we therefore heal that correction. If you know what I mean.
It's just a change in perception. So it's nothing terribly dramatic. You're just correcting your perception. When you perform a miracle, they are made, maybe instead of performed. Are made by those who temporarily have more for those who temporarily have less. So once you understand these teachings, someone else may not understand them. You can correct your mind. You can apply the principles to let go. So you temporarily in a better state of mind. It's all temporary because ultimately we were one. But in time and space, your mind might be more open and accessible to the corrections than someone else. So then you give them the gift. Yeah, so happy with number 8.
Yeah.
Number 9. I don't know if you can read that.
Corrections or the original. Okay. Miracles
Original
are
and then the later. Just do the original first.
okay. Miracles are a kind of exchange, like all expressions of love, which are always miraculous in the true sense. The exchange reverses the physical laws. They bring more love both to the giver and the receiver. Corrections are a kind of exchange, like all expressions of love, which are always corrective in the true sense. The exchange reverses the physical laws. They bring more love both to the giver and the receiver.
Okay, so what's he saying in this one?
It says that the corrective process, it's more like an exchange between the giver and the receiver, because let's say maybe to the giver, whatever perception that you have, you actually exchanging it for pure perfect love. And then on the other end as well, the receiver, is also receiving perfect love. I think in essence, it's actually an exchange of the same thing, which is perfect love.
Exactly. It's the same thing. And we call it giving and receiving in this world, but it's the same. It's ultimately the same underlying fundamental quality. Exchange reverses the physical laws. So do you understand why it reverses the physical laws?
Because the physical laws, I mean, it's the laws of opposites. You in the physical laws, you can't give love in response to, for example, hate. You've got to give more hate, in response to hate that you've been given.
They bring more love both to the giver and receiver. So in physical laws, if you give something, then you have lost something. Yeah, you give something material, maybe it's money or any kind of physical thing, good, service, then you don't have it anymore. So the physical laws say, well, if you give something away, then you have less of it. But this reverses the physical laws because when you give it, you have more of it. You see, that's why it reverses. They bring more love both to the giver and receiver. So in the physical laws, the giver loses out because physically they've given away whatever, and so they no longer have it. The receiver has it. So the receiver benefits, the giver loses. That's the physical law. That's the ego's way, based on thought system of scarcity and sacrifice. This reverses those laws and says, no, the more you give, the more love you give as the giver, the more you receive love. The more you give it, the more you'll have it. So a complete reversal of the physical law. And in reversing these physical laws in our own experience, we start learning that they're not true, that there are other laws that are more true. That makes sense?
Yes.
A big part of the miracle correction is reverse the laws that you previously thought applied, because the correction says no, they didn't apply. The laws were false. So the correction doesn't abide by the laws that it aims to undo. See, it can't abide by the laws of physical laws. time and space because it aims to undo them.
Yeah. So does it mean that, like, for example, in my experience for today, in essence, even if whatever that needs to come back my way doesn't, I haven't lost. I've in fact gained more because I've given.
Yes.
I've given love
Because
by
it's on
assisting.
another level. It's not the physical. You got to stop evaluating things by, well, what did I get materially?
Yeah.
Because that's physical laws. You have to evaluate by, well, what did I give and receive spiritually? Am I feeling? Am I feeling more love? Am I feeling love, happiness, peace, and joy from an exchange with someone else or not? And if I give more love, if I give love to people, we don't lose, do we? We gain. We feel more love the more we've given it. So
Yes.
it reverses the physical laws because you've given it, but you haven't lost. In fact, you've gained because you experience more love yourself.
Yeah.
So it reverses the physical laws. And you start understanding then that these physical laws are false. Actually, the spiritual laws are ultimately true. And the spiritual laws are not based on scarcity, they're based on abundance. The more you give, the more you have.
Yeah. I can't remember. I've come across some story a while ago whereby I think someone wanted to give the other person something, and then the end receiver refused, and then the person that wanted to give said, you've denied me the pleasure in giving.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, you must be willing to receive as well as to give.
Yeah, that happened
Some
to
people
me.
struggle with receiving. They're like, no, 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 I don't want to receive because I don't feel worthy.
Yeah. I did that with a lady just
Or
a few days
like, no,
ago.
if someone wants to give you a gift, then allow it because you are.
Yeah,
Hmm?
yeah, sorry, it was just saying what about the
Kang.
can't pronounce the name, but Bakang?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Bakang?
Kang.
Bakam,
Bakang.
yes.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
yeah, no, I experienced that a few days ago. There was a lady who was on the streets, and I think she must live on the streets, and she was hanging around the shop. So we got her a pizza, all nicely boxed up and presented, and I went out the car, gave it to her, and she said no. And I did feel rather deflated. I felt really deflated.
No, wow. Okay, that's quite.
Yeah. So I did, yes, yeah. So I did feel, yeah.
Hmm. So she blocked the flow. She could have gone, well, thank you. You're
Yeah,
very kind.
because it got all nicely boxed up and everything.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
she just said no.
I don't want it.
So, yeah.
So,
So you never
she being
know.
more aware, even if she didn't want the pizza, maybe she didn't like pizza or whatever. She obviously wasn't desperately hungry.
No.
You accept it because it's the right thing to do. Oh, thank you. And then
Yeah,
there's a
well,
flow of energy.
mm,
Then the energy flows, and she experiences love. I mean, really, the pizza or whatever you give materially is just a proxy for love, isn't it? It's like the
oh
carrier
yeah.
of love and
Well, that was the
exchange.
plan. Yeah, yeah. But she said no, and I did feel deflated.
Oh, because she blocked the
So,
flow of love, and so then, whereas if you'd given it, then she'd gone, thank you, really, I so appreciate it. Thank you so much.
oh,
Then
just
you would have
thank you.
felt more love,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
even though you'd spent the money. So materially, you'd spent whatever it was, £10 on the pizza. That wouldn't matter because
no, no.
spiritually you felt more. So it would have reversed the physical laws. But there needs to be both a giving and a receiving
Mm.
for that exchange to happen.
But I mean, I've done it before to somebody that maybe is wanting money and they're very happy, thank you. But this
Mm,
occasion, no, I was rejected. So you do
mm,
feel it. Yeah,
mm.
it's true.
So it's a giving. In the giving and the receiving, both parties being willing to do that, really there's a unit, there's oneness behind that, isn't there? Giving and receiving are really just two sides of the same coin. There's one underlying awareness going on. In this world, it just seems like they're separate people and entities, and some can give and some can receive. But in the flow of giving and receiving, we learn that actually only oneness is true. And that's why it's valuable to give and to receive, because it takes you back to the underlying awareness of love, which giving and receiving come from. All right, happy with number 9 then. Let's move on to 10. So is it Elaine or Become? I don't remember.
I think it's
Other one.
me. I think it's me on this one.
Yep.
Yeah. Number 10. The use of miracles as spectacles to induce belief is a misunderstanding of their purpose. Or the use of corrections as spectacles to induce belief is a misunderstanding of their purpose. So, yeah, it's just saying that it's not some spectacular, magical thing that's going to make somebody believe, because that is a misunderstanding. It's purely a natural expression of love that is natural in every single one of us, including Hitler.
Don't use them as spectacles to induce belief. That's not what they're there for. They're there as the mechanism of correction of the mind. Maybe, miracles happen. Like, let's say a good example would be Yeshua. He's doing his miracles. Yes, they do induce people's belief, but he didn't do them to induce belief. He did them because it was a giving and receiving of love in the moment, you see. He was giving love and the person was receiving it, and then the healing happened. In fact, he said to people, don't tell anyone, because I don't want this, to be a spectacle to induce belief. But it didn't really work, because they did tell. If you've just had a miraculous healing, you're going to tell everyone, aren't you? But he would say don't, because precisely for this reason, he didn't want it to be used as some kind of spectacle to induce belief. Oh, wow, come and there's this magical healer guy, come and check him out. And he didn't want that. He wanted people who had faith, even though they hadn't seen the miracle. He wanted to teach people these principles so they could apply them in their own lives as well as the lives of others. Okay, so happy with that. Let's go to number 11. Prayer is the medium of miracles.
Prayer is the medium of miracles. It is a means of communication of the created with the Creator. Through prayer, love is received, and through miracles, love is expressed. The alternative, prayer is the medium of corrections. It is a means of communicating of the extended with the source, capital S. Through prayer, love is received, and through corrections, love is expressed.
Yeah, so what's he saying there?
It says that we actually use prayer as a medium to correct. And it's also a means to communicate with the extended source. So it's like a channel that we can use to connect to, our source where we come from. And through that connection, we receive the love, and the correction also happens.
Hmm. The prayer, love is received. Through corrections, love is expressed. So the prayer is our own connection with our source. We pray and we say, really, I want to just experience this awareness. Our source is just an awareness, pure formless awareness. We call it perfect love. My prayer is my calling that down. Yeah, I'm connecting with this awareness. I want to connect with it. I want to experience it. I invite it into my awareness. So love is received through prayer, and then I extend it through corrections. So when I correct my own perception, which is blocked, and I then open up, then love flows outwards from center, and we experience love in our connections and interactions with others. So it means a communication of extended with the source. So you see, we changed the just an aside here on the language, the created with the creator. The reason why we've changed the create to extend is because the create and creator implies that at some point we didn't exist, and then this creator created us, and then suddenly we came into some kind of existence. But that would imply that we're actually finite and limited in time. Actually, the truth is we are just extended by the eternal, infinite source of all life. It hasn't changed at all. Does that make sense? So we just extended. It's eternal. We come from the eternal. We were never not created. We never didn't exist. We just extended from the eternal.
Okay.
So we make our way back to that eternal awareness, which we realize has always been there. We've never not had awareness, because it's eternal. All right, so let's go to number 12 then, miracles of thoughts.
Miracles are thoughts. Thoughts can represent the lower or bodily level of experience, or the higher or spiritual level of experience. One makes the physical, and the other creates the spiritual. Corrections are thoughts. Thoughts can represent the lower or bodily.
Sorry.
Yeah. Thoughts can represent the lower or bodily level of experience, or the higher or spiritual level of experience. One makes the physical, and the other extends the spiritual. So it's just saying that, yeah, the corrections are thoughts, and there's two choices. There's the physical and there's the spiritual.
Yeah, low bodily level, so that's about the physical body, the material, or the higher or spiritual level of experience, which is about the mind and spirit. And these laws contradict. One makes the physical world that we perceive, and the other extends the spiritual, which is intangible, incorporeal. So we're being asked to raise ourselves up from physical into into the spiritual is demonstrated in this. Let's just find, I think it's in here, is it? Let's find it. There we go. Let's find. So we're being asked to raise ourselves up from the physical level, bodies, and all the things that bodies do in time and space, and really being rooted in that identity and that perception. And the correction raises us up into the higher spiritual level, where we start understanding that we are mind, we're really just one self, one mind, and that we are all ultimately one in this pure formless awareness of perfect love. So we must raise our awareness up into the true self of Christ. We're going to be saved, freed. Okay, that's what he's talking about here. So the whole course is designed to raise you up from this level of awareness, being rooted in the physical, thinking you're a body in time and space, and raise you up into the level of the true self or the Christ, the Son or the extension, where you realize that you're just the extension of perfect love. That correction of perception is what the miracle is. That can also be called true perception or Christ vision, miracles and corrections. So the course is focused on this process of correcting perception, and in the process it raises you up from identifying with this world and the character in this world into this awareness, the true self or the Christ or the Son of God, the extension of perfect love, the awakened one. The Atman is a Sanskrit term for it. So that you identify more and more with the one awareness that underlies the true self. And eventually God takes the final step and you just merge back into that awareness. So he's giving us the structure of this and saying, this is how it works, and you need to overcome the lower bodily level of experience in order to wake up. And the correction does that. Okay, happy with that, Elaine? Okay.
Yep, yes.
Yes.
Number 13 then. Miracles are both beginnings and endings.
Miracles are both beginnings and endings, and so they alter the temporal order. They are always affirmations of rebirth, which seem to go back, but really go forward. They undo the past in the present, and thus release the future. Corrections are both beginnings and endings, and so they alter the order of time. They are always affirmations of rebirth, which seem to go back, but really go forward. They undo the past in the present, and thus release the future.
Okay, so what's he saying in this one?
It says that corrections basically they serve, two purposes. They are the beginning because one tends to actually change, and then at the same time they are the end because one actually moves from the separate self to perfect love or awareness. So they are serving two purposes. And when they happen, there's a rebirth because one is actually now awakening to the true self or coming up to that middle area that we just showed in the diagram.
Yeah. You have to raise yourself up, because this is a big gap to go from being completely identified with time and space and everything that happens here in your character and the dream to pure formless awareness of perfect love is unusual. It can happen, but for most people, it's this intermediary step is essential. You have to do the work of correcting your perceptions in order to let go of your attachment to the things and people and places and events of time and space. In doing that, you're letting go of your ego and starting to embrace your true self. And the more you do that, because it's one self, it's coming from one awareness, you eventually are ready just to merge back into pure formless awareness, perfect love. Yeah, so you can see how these diagrams here, they just illustrate these words, don't they? That's the point, to make it more visually explicable. Corrections are both beginnings and endings. So they kind of have this timeless quality. A correction is transcendent in nature. So it takes you up out of this timeline of consciousness, out of all the identification with the timeline, what happens on the timeline, the various events. And it raises you up. And at each event, when there's some difficult, let's say a major trauma, you have a heart attack, you can correct your perception of it, and you can raise yourself up above it. And that's why they are transcendent. That's why they're corrective. That's why they're beginnings and endings, because they transcend time. They're not affecting the sequence of time. They're not rooted in that. They go into the transcendent domain where time doesn't seem to, those time-bound constraints don't operate anymore. I had an experience of that when I came back on Saturday. It was like both flights were delayed. I was like, okay. And I didn't think we'd do it even if the flights were on time, that I would get to a bus, to catch a bus to Colchester I was leaving at 8:10, and the flight from Frankfurt was due to land at about 25 to 8. I was like, well, that only leaves 35 minutes. I've got to, collect my baggage. I've got to go through immigration, collect my baggage, and still then find the bus stop, which is at another terminal. It's not going to happen. So I'd kind of let it go. I wasn't attached to it. But somehow I was just guided to make it. And I got there just as the bus driver was pulling out. And I managed to get on. I was like, wow, that was amazing. Because otherwise I would have had to wait for 4 hours. And because of that, I then was able to get down much earlier and see Deborah and Gabriel before dinner. So I had dinner with them. So it was all, part of an orchestrated plan, and the considerations of time didn't seem to apply. It was like I was just directed to make that bus. There was no doubt about it. By the absolute skin of my teeth, but I made it. So that facilitated then nice sort of homecoming and connection.
Great.
Rather than getting back at night. So there are these sort of time control factors that happen in miracles or corrections that you can start becoming aware of the more you apply them. I was just saying, well, go with the flow. I just said, you show me. Whenever I go traveling now, I'm just like, okay, well, Holy Spirit, you're in charge. Show me. So even though there were delays, I just kept doing that, saying, no, it's okay. It's going to let it go and trust the process. Amazingly, then these kinds of things work out. time collapse and all kinds of things can happen. You're not trying to do them. They just happen because you're in the right state of mind. All right, so number 14, miracles bear witness to truth.
Miracles bear witness to truth. They are convincing because they arise from conviction. Without conviction, they deteriorate into magic, which is mindless and therefore destructive, or rather, the uncreative use of mind.
And an alternative.
Corrections bear witness to truth. They are convincing because they arise from faith. Without such conviction, they deteriorate into magic, which is mindless and therefore destructive, or rather, the miscreative use of mind.
Okay, what's he saying in that one?
Well, the corrections show us the truth, and they will convince us because they arise from faith. So without this conviction, then they will deteriorate into magic and therefore become miscreative of the mind and destructive, mindless.
Hmm.
So,
You understand that distinction between faith and magic. So if you
yes.
truly have faith, say, well, okay, it's not my will, but thy will be done. Show me. I don't necessarily know how it's all going to work, but I have faith in the guidance. And so I'm not trying to control the outcome. Whereas with the ego, there's always an idea of it's going to try and control the outcome. And it will do that with magic. It'll say, well, if you use whatever the means are, it's creative use of mind. So magic is the attempt to fix this problem yourself using the laws of time and space and your own seemingly separate mind. And so, of course, it can't work. It just keeps you in the magical mindset. And magic is then a denial of the miracle. So it's important you understand that a miracle or correction, genuine and magic are not the same. They're different. You need to know what that difference is.
For example, with the doctor, they'll give you magical pills and you think that's going to do the healing. Is that an example?
Yeah. You've got a condition and you go, okay, well, I've got some kind of tool, some kind of physical remedy. So, pills would be an example, or maybe you need an operation if it's a physical problem. Maybe you think, well, my life will be a whole lot better if I have a relationship with someone. That's magic. You think that some change in the level of form is gonna make it better, or my life will be a whole lot better if I make money. On the level of form, maybe, but are you going to be happier? Are you going to be able to be more open and expansive and happy? Not necessarily. It's magic, definitely not. It says which is mindless. Magic which is mindless because it's not coming from your true mind. It's false mind. It's the ego mind. Mindless. So it destroys magic. Magic destroys the mind because it's saying only the physical is real. You look at the integral model. maybe this will help. So magic seems to confirm to us that only the material is real. Okay, so only this objective reality is real. So you've got to fix it with physical remedies, whether it be a drug or money or relationship or something else. So what is it doing? It's actually confirming to you that this domain isn't real, that only this is true. And so it denies the truth of your true self and being and affirms the reality of the body and what's going on in the body. And that's why magic and miracles will never coexist, because the miracle of correction corrects at this level, where correction can be made on the level of the subjective self. Whereas magic corrects on the external level. It attempts to. And never the twain shall meet. They are opposite thought systems, opposite ideas, opposite thought systems. The miracle says correct here in the interior, and once that corrections happen, it will extend into the physical, because as within, so without. That's the law. So you do the correction genuinely internally, it extends to the external, to your behavior, the level of your body and behavior, and so on. Yeah, does that make sense in terms of the integral model, magic, corrections? You clear on the difference?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Let's go to number 15 then. Each day should be devoted to miracles.
Each day should be devoted to miracles. The purpose of time is to enable you to learn how to use time constructively. It is thus a teaching device and a means to an end. Time will cease when it is no longer useful in facilitating learning. And the alternative, each day should be devoted to corrections. The purpose of time is to enable you to learn how to use time constructively. So it is a teaching device and a means to an end. Time will end when it is no longer useful in facilitating the learning.
Okay, so what's he saying in this one?
So firstly, it's saying, or it's telling us to actually, devote each day or look forward to each day, to actually dedicate it to corrections or be on the lookout for situations and experiences that led us to that, affords us the opportunity to practice letting go. And then time is just basically there for us to actually, we should use it constructively. We should use it as an opportunity to actually, practice letting go.
That's its purpose. To correct our minds and heal our minds.
Yeah.
And it will end when it's no longer useful in facilitating learning. When there's nothing more to learn and you're back in your original state of pure formless awareness. Let's go back here. When you're back in this state of eternity, no time, then there's no longer any need for time. Corrections are not necessary anymore because you're just back in the original state of pure formless awareness, the perfect love. But while time seems to carry on, our task is to learn to transcend time, to learn how to make these corrections and identify more and more with our true self, So eventually God takes the final step. He says, in other words, pure formless awareness of perfect love merges with you and you become one with it. And you disappear into this awareness. The Father or the Source and the Son or its extension have become one. That's the mystical union of the Father and the Son, or the Source and its extension. Okay? So our job is to use time constructively to free ourselves, to transcend time. And the corrections are the mechanism of doing that. Okay, in the same vein, then he goes on to miracles of teaching devices. And if you can read that.
Miracles are teaching devices for demonstrating it as blessed to give as to receive.
It is as, yeah. It
is as blessed to give as to receive. They simultaneously increase the strength of the giver and supply strength to the receiver. Corrections are teaching devices for demonstrating it is as blessed to give as to receive. They simultaneously increase the strength of the giver and supply strength to the receiver. So they're just saying that the giver and the receiver are equal, and the strength will be, once corrected, will strengthen both.
Because they don't they don't follow the physical laws.
Yeah.
If you've ever, I mean, we've all had experiences, we've given something to someone, there's a genuine flow of love. You can experience that. You know, it hasn't weakened. You may have spent, money doing it, but the money is the false. The money is the material level. Okay, so number 17, miracles transcend the body.
Miracles transcend the body. They are sudden shifts into invisibility, away from the bodily level. That is why they heal. Corrections transcend the body. They are sudden shifts into pure, formless awareness, away from the bodily level. That is why they heal.
Yeah, what's he saying here?
It's saying that basically through corrections, we transcend the physical form. And through that transition, that's where we get healed, because we are in pure, formless awareness state. Which is above or beyond our body.
So any correction takes us into a transcendent state of awareness to an extent. That's why it's a correction. So now we start to become aware of this pure formless awareness of perfect love, either fully or even a glimpse of it. Just okay, I've let go of some ego drama, and I'm experiencing a little taste of this peace. That's a correction. Doesn't have to be the whole thing all at once. Sudden shift into pure formless awareness and shifts into invisibility away from pure formless awareness. Away from the bodily level, that is why they heal. So remember, the heal and whole mean the same thing. To heal is to become whole again. So you transcend the level of a separate self, which is not whole by definition, it's separate, and you unite at the highest level. Yeah, that makes sense. That's the corrections are transcendent. Let's go on to number 18, and miracles of service.
A miracle is a service. It is the maximal service you can render to another. It is a way of loving your neighbor as yourself. You recognize your own and your neighbor's worth simultaneously. A correction is a service. It is the maximal service you can render to another. It is a way of loving another person as yourself. You recognize your own and the other person's worth simultaneously.
Like that capital self. Let's personalize this actually. The maximal service I can give to another is a way of loving another person as myself. I recognize. So read it in the alternative again from the top.
A correction is a service. It is the maximal service I can give to another. It is a way of loving another person as myself. I recognize my own and the other person's worth simultaneously. Yeah. So being in this mindset of, the correction, it's the maximal service you can give to anybody. It's loving that person as you would yourself.
Yeah.
So we recognize that we are equal.
Yeah, because it's the same self. And then there's a healing of the mind. It's like, oh, actually, I recognize myself in the other person. And so we both expanded by that. Helps us transcend the limitations of our ego minds and the body. The maximal service I can give to another is a way of loving another person as myself. I recognize my own, the other person's worth simultaneously. So as I do that, I'm giving and receiving simultaneously. Exactly what he says. Because when I recognize their worth, I also recognize my own. Okay, happy with that. Let's go to number 19. Yeah. Cosmic minds, one in God.
Oops.
Sorry.
The kitchen.
Corrections make minds one in pure, formless awareness of perfect love. They depend on cooperation because the extension is the sum of all that perfect love extends. Corrections, therefore, reflect the laws of eternity, not of time. Miracles reawaken the awareness that the spirit, not the body, is the altar of
so just pause. You're going to the thing. Just one at a time. That's another principle.
Oh, sorry, did I jump over?
Miracles make minds. I don't think you read the original.
Okay.
Miracle make minds one in God.
Miracle make minds one in God. They depend on cooperation because the sonship is the sum of all that God created. Miracles, therefore, reflect the laws of eternity, not of time. And then the alternative, corrections make minds one in pure, formless awareness of perfect love. They depend on cooperation because the extension is the sum of all that perfect love extends. Corrections, therefore, reflect the laws of eternity, not of time.
And what's he saying on this one?
It's saying that, in essence, the correction, it actually make the two minds one, or brings the two minds into one state of formless awareness, and that state is actually what it is. I think maybe from the mental form, it might seem like an extension, but it's all there is.
Hmm.
And in that, it reflects the law of eternity, and not of time, to say that perfect love is all there is. It's constant, it's eternity, and that's all to it, not time and space.
So they reflect the corrections, or the reflection of the laws of eternity and infinity, not of time. They reflect in the construct of time and space. Corrections come in and demonstrate that there is a higher truth, that there is this eternal awareness that is not time bound. And so they completely, in fact, contradict the laws of time and space. Which is why you can never reconcile these things. You can't reconcile eternity and time. They're opposite. Just as your true self and your false self are opposite. All right, so a different level. I think this is the key point of miracles, is they raise you up to a different level of awareness. It's about transcending that level and going into a higher level of awareness, which does not reflect the same laws. The higher level of awareness reflects the laws of another reality that is transcendent. That's in fact completely opposite to the reality we've created on earth. So miracles do not, or corrections do not, obey the laws of time and space that they were designed to correct. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Number 20. Elaine, if you can read that, miracles reawaken the awareness. You're muted, Elaine.
Oh, sorry, I'm talking to myself. Miracles reawaken the awareness that the spirit, not the body, is the altar of truth. This is the recognition that leads to the healing power of the miracle. Corrections reawaken the awareness that pure formless awareness, not the body, is the foundation of truth. This is the recognition that leads the healing power of the correction. So it's just saying that this correction reawakens our awareness of the pure formless awareness, not the body. And this is where the truth is. And that's where the healing power of the correction comes in. So the recognition, this is the recognition.
And recognition means recognize. So you rethink, you re-understand. You once understood, but then you forgot. Now you recognize that truth again. You come to understand it again. At least, and that recognition leads to the healing power of the correction. Correction is reawaken the awareness, the pure formless awareness, not the body, is the foundation of truth. It's absolutely true. Okay, happy with number 20. Go on to number 21 then.
Miracles are natural signs of forgiveness. Through miracles, you accept God's forgiveness by extending it to others. And then the alternative, corrections are natural signs of letting go. Through corrections, you let go of all your errors by perceiving their falsity from the perspective of pure formless awareness and by extending this awareness to others.
Yeah, you know what it's saying in this one.
Yeah. It's saying that, the corrections, they are signs that we letting go. And through corrections, we recognize, or it's the moment when we recognize that whatever that we correcting is actually false and different from pure formless awareness. And from that recognition, we actually extend that to others to also bring awareness to them.
Yeah, well said. So the correction is just looking at it honestly and saying this is false. So if it's false, it has no reality. It's not something I can believe in and think about and feel emotions about because it's all false. And that raises us up into the perspective of pure formless awareness. By extending this awareness to others. Okay, and as we give, we receive. We extend this awareness. In the extension of the awareness, we're not losing it, we're gaining it. When something flows through you, you experience it. That awareness, you don't lose it, you gain. That's why it says it reverses the physical laws. Okay. Happy with that one. Number 22. Lane, if you can read that.
Miracles are associated with fear only because of the belief that darkness can hide. You believe that what your physical eyes cannot see does not exist. This leads to a denial of spiritual sight. Corrections are associated with fear only because of the belief that limited awareness can hide. You believe that your physical eyes cannot see, does not exist. This leads to a denial of spiritual sight. Well, the corrections are associated with fear, as we believe limited awareness can hide. So we believe what our physical eyes cannot see does not exist. Yeah. So it's a denial of our spiritual sight. Just because we can't see it, it doesn't exist.
And that's the classic scientific materialist paradigm. Is to say, well, if you can't see, feel, touch, taste, and perceive it in the physical, it doesn't exist. Okay, so you've then just denied this whole realm, this internal state. They say, no, that doesn't exist because you can't see, feel, touch, taste, and perceive it. So only the material world exists because there's evidence for that. Apparently, you can perceive it. But if you do that, you deny that thoughts and emotions, and memories and states of mind and perceptions and sensations which are all internal experiences, you're really denying that all of that exists. And then you're left with, well, what motivates now the physical world to happen in the way it does? Well, surely there's something incorporeal mind that does that populates the you can see how the scientific materialist paradigm is a direct denial of the miracle, the correction. If you think only this is real and you root in that, how can you change your mind if you don't even believe you have a mind? Do you see the cunning of the ego?
Yes.
Saying, well, if you're just a body and you're not even a mind, and your mind or your consciousness is some kind of accidental effect of your brain, and when your body dies, then you die, that's it. Then how can you really change your mind if you've denied that you even have a mind? Do you see why the ego has created this scientific materialist paradigm? Because it's a defense mechanism against the truth that actually all that really exists is this, the subjective I. So we see it very much, what he's saying here, in the scientific materialist paradigm, in this world. And that paradigm is what largely runs the systems of the world, as is demonstrated here. So the medical system, the financial system, government systems, IT systems are based on this paradigm still in this world. Well, if something's based on a false paradigm, then it must be false too. And the miracle, the correction, exposes its falsity, which is why the scientists are not open to the miracle, because it exposes them. I'll give you a good example of this. So when Anita Mojani healed, I don't know if you know the story, but Anita Mojani was terminally ill. She had cancer that was very aggressive, and she was on death's door. Her organs were shutting down. And at that point, the doctors go, look, there's nothing more we can do. Organ failure precedes death. It's very simple. So they said to the family, look, there's nothing more we can do. Just say your goodbyes. But then little they know, she was going to go into coma. She had a near-death experience and had this, very profound healing in that experience. And then she decided to come back. But, the agreement was, well, I'm not coming back into a sick body. My body's got to heal. And so because of that, very quickly, from a state where she was virtually dead, within 5 days, her tumors had disappeared to, I think, 70% of them had disappeared. And, the cancer just, started going to remission and disappearing. Then her oncologist was asked, he said, well, what do you think of this? I mean, she's had this miraculous recovery. After 5 weeks, she was discharged and there was no cancer. They'd never seen anything like it. How do you explain it? Oh, he said, no, actually, we've seen evidence that chemotherapy can work at an advanced stage. I mean, that's just nonsense. She's not on chemo anymore because they were like, so he's going, she's had this miraculous recovery, and somehow it's the chemo that miraculously kicks in when she hasn't had a chemo session for days or weeks because she's been too weak. But that's the ludicrous position that you have to take when you deny this domain. He's not open to saying, well, maybe she actually had a profound spiritual experience in her near-death experience that awoke her, and that is the source, that is the cause of her physical healing. See, because then he would have to accept that his entire paradigm that we are just bodies, and therefore the way to treat bodies is through mechanical means, is wrong. And so he'll come to a ridiculous conclusion. He's an intelligent man, but he has to come to a ridiculous conclusion that is clearly absurd and not really defendable, because what else can he do but the only alternative would be to accept the truth. That yes, she had a profound near-death experience, as she describes in her book, and that is what healed her body. Her healing of the mind is what healed her body. Because then his entire little construct of scientific materialism and his ego would be seriously threatened. So he has to deny that.
Yeah.
All right, so number 23.
Miracles rearrange perception and place all levels in true perspective. This is healing because sickness comes from confusing the levels. Corrections rearrange perception and place all levels in true perspective. This is healing because sickness comes from confusing the levels.
Okay, do you understand that? I need a bit of help with that.
Yes, I do.
Corrections rearrange perception, place all levels in true perspective. Sickness comes from confusing the levels. So let's have a look at level confusion. Sickness comes if you think that the level is reality, that the world, the objective world, the material body is reality, you're confusing the levels. You're saying reality is here when in fact reality lies here. If you want to look at it differently in another diagram, but more kind of to the point of levels, because it's visually arranged that way. A bit smaller there. So if you think that you are a body, and you think you're a personal identity, and you think all this stuff in this world is real, then you're confusing the levels. You're saying this is reality. Identify with reality here. In fact, none of this is unreal. Nothing unreal exists, as he says. This is all unreal. So you just need to recognize that this whole domain is unreality. So if you go above this and you go into the true self, the Christ, in your mind, which is inspired by pure formless awareness of perfect love, you recognize another level. And you can perceive now this world, time and space and everything that goes on in here, from the other level, another perception. That's true perception or Christ vision. So it's saying don't get level confused and say reality lies here. So that chap, the oncologist, in that that explanation of her Anita Mojani's healing, he was level confused. He was trying to explain it in terms of this level, but actually it can only be explained from the top level. So he was confused. Whenever we identify with form and the body, we are level confused because we're thinking that that is now our reality. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does that help you? Level confusion. It's actually one of the most confusing aspects of course teaching. What does level confusion mean?
Yeah, I think it means like, for example, back to the diagram. It means when, like, for example, I'll just give an example based on the diagram. It means when, we think that the people, the things, the places, all that's at the bottom, that's it. That's the real. There's nothing else more than that. Meanwhile, that's the case. The real is actually the unseen, and the seen is actually the unreal.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
because
exactly.
people are only, their paradigm is mainly focused on the bottom part. To them, that's real, and that's the only thing that exists.
Mm. Mm. So someone, let's say you believe that you're just a body, and you believe in, take the example of the medical industry, you believe then explicitly in, okay, well, the allopathic medical paradigm is the only way to healing. You are level confused. So
Yes.
that entire system is level confused because they've placed their faith in reality that is at this level of the body, and saying that this is where healing lies, but it's not the case. Healing lies in the mind. Anita Mojani is a classic case of, okay, she's not level confused anymore. Like the correction, the miracle that she had, the correction raised her up into her true self, and she had that experience. So she went very strongly into the true self. Now the true self, coming from pure formless awareness of perfect love, knows that the world is false. And she looked on the world, and I understand that it's all false, and I understand that my body is only sick because of my mind. My body is diseased because my mind is diseased. But I can change that. I can correct it, heal my mind, and then the body must follow suit. All right. So is that clear what level confusion is?
Yes.
How it plays out in the world? So we live in a very confused society because it's fundamentally level confused. Our society is based on an upside down paradigm that reality lies in the material and only in the material, and has largely denied this other level of mind and the true self. So therefore, everything that we experience here is upside down and level confused. The entire medical system, entire financial system, it's all level confused, and therefore it is confused and confusing and doesn't ultimately work. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so number 24 then, let's move on.
Miracles enable you to heal the sick and raise the dead, because you made sickness and death yourself and can therefore abolish both. You are a miracle capable of creating in the likeness of your Creator. Everything else is your own nightmare and does not exist. Only the creations of light are real. Or corrections enable me to heal the sick and raise the dead, because I made sickness and death myself and can therefore abolish both. I am a loving self, capable of extending as my source extends. Everything else is my own nightmare and does not exist. Only the extensions of pure formless awareness are real.
Okay, so you're saying there.
It's just talking about sickness and death, and corrections can enable us to heal this situation. The same, we can even raise the dead. Well, Jesus, maybe.
Well,
This is
is
a
he talking
possibility. Yeah,
heal the sick and raise the dead? You can interpret that on a number of levels. Are we
yeah,
talking about the physical level, or raise the spiritually dead? Heal the sick and
right.
raise the
Yeah, so that's
spiritually
obviously what it
dead, and
means. Yeah,
they resurrect and become alive again. You see, so
yeah, I misunderstood that. Yeah.
well, I mean, you can interpret it on both levels. Heal the sick and raise the dead. Well, okay, he did those miracles, and we know that he did raise the dead. So there's a reference to that. But it's really, it's extremely unlikely that people are going to go around raising the dead. So it's spiritually dead.
Yeah, right. That makes sense.
For
Yeah.
example, Anita Majani, she was spiritually dead, right? And because she was spiritually dead, her body was dying. Then she has the near-death experience, and she is raised from the dead. She was almost dead, but she comes back to life, and her body, comes back into health and wellness, because spiritually she's no longer dead. She's awoken from her deadness, let it go, and realize who she really is through the experience. So I made sickness and death myself, can therefore abolish both. Powerful, right? I made up sickness and death.
Very powerful. But we know at some level it's true, really, deep down.
Yeah. We are the authors of our own miscreation. So if we suffer, who's causing us to suffer? We are.
Yeah, yeah.
And in that's although it's a hard lesson, in that lies our
Very.
freedom. Because if I know that I've created my own suffering, it empowers me to end it, doesn't it? But if I think that my suffering is caused by someone or something else that's beyond my control, then I have no power to end it, because I believe that I'm just suffering some external force beyond my control. That's the classic victim. So the claiming of responsibility for your suffering is key, even though it's not an easy thing to do. So yeah, I've made myself suffer all these years. Okay, but if I can accept that, at least I can stop doing it by claiming that power.
Yeah.
It's why the medical industry will say, no, it's not your mind that's done this to you. It's, it's the whatever. It's the bug, it's the bacteria, it's the parasite, it's the whatever the problem is. And they blame the physical.
They do.
That's all part of the level confusion. That's part of the denial of true healing. See that?
Yeah.
Everything else is my own nightmare. It does not exist. Only the extensions of pure formless awareness are real. Only the extensions of light are real. Everything else is my own nightmare. It does not exist. It's a very clear statement. Okay. Only the extensions of pure formless awareness are real. So nothing real can be threatened and nothing unreal exists. He's saying it again.
Yes.
And the correction restores this awareness of truth. All right, number 25.
Oh, is it me?
The Kung is gone, so it's just you, yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to make this the last one because I've got a busy day tomorrow. So, corrections are part of an interlocking chain of letting go, which, when completed, is the atonement or at-one-ment. At-one-ment works all the time and in all the dimensions of time. Or, corrections are part of, I think I've just read that bit. I didn't read the top bit, did I? Okay, I'll read that.
It's not serious because it's just the miracles becomes corrections.
Oh, I see.
Yes. At-one-ment would be at-one-ment. It's pronounced as at-one-ment.
So it's all about the letting go. And it's an interlocking chain. part of an interlocking chain. So you have to go through a procedure before you can finally let go, I guess, when it's completed to become the at-one-ment.
Yeah, I mean, what he means by interlocking chain is that we're all connected. So my lesson in letting go is not separate from yours, is not separate from another person's. Often they intersect and they interlock, which is why relationships are key, because the relationship is the interlocking of the experience of two seemingly separate individuals. Their perceptions, their awareness interlocks in the relationship.
So we're all together. Yeah, not just one letting go. It's all.
Your lesson, if you learn your lesson in a relationship and you really let go, then because you're interlocked with the other person, that inevitably affects them, and it helps
That's them let go, yes.
go as well.
Yeah.
When all of those lessons are learned, interlocking chain of letting go is completed, then that's the at-one-ment. Every mind has recognized its essential oneness. And so this process of letting go and correction is happening all the time. Works all the time in all the dimensions of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, you said you want to make that the last one.
Yes, yeah, because I've got quite an early start, so yeah.
25 more principles, so I'll see what I can do to read them. I'll just read them on the recording. So I'll record it, and you can listen to it.
Yeah, and then
tomorrow.
translate. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Need to go over those again. Important. Yeah.
Yeah, well, this is the foundation of the whole course, the principles of miracles. It's part of the principles.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
a lot of these principles become clearer as you go through the course. You start understanding that.
Yeah. So is it 6 o'clock tomorrow again?
Yeah, we're going to make it
For the time
make
zone.
it 6. Yeah. 6 p.m. because then
the time zones.
People you can join. Yeah, so for the next 6 weeks we'll do that.
Yeah, of course. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so see you tomorrow. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Right.
Good night.
Thanks, Elaine. All right, so let's carry on. 25 principles to go. Miracles represent freedom from fear. So atoning means undoing. Undoing of fear is an essential part of the atonement. One-ment value of miracles. Corrections. Corrections represent freedom from fear. Atoning means, quote, undoing. Means you undo the separation in your mind. The undoing of fear is an essential part of the one-ment value of corrections. Undoing of fear. And fear is coming from separation. Fear is the perception of some kind of external threat, which is always based on separation. So undoing of fear is an essential part of it, one-ment value of corrections. So miracles, universal blessing from God through me to all my brothers. It's the privilege of the forgiven to forgive. Correction is a universal blessing from pure fullness, awareness of perfect love through me to all my companions is the privilege of those who've accepted they are free to free others through their letting go. Correction is a universal blessing from pure formless awareness of perfect love through me to all my companions. It is the privilege of those who've accepted they are free to free others through their letting go. So again, I accept it for myself, and then I free others by letting go of my judgment of others. That's our privilege. So again, calling us to help us free our brothers. Correction is a universal blessing from pure formless awareness of perfect love through me to all my companions. It's the privilege of those who have accepted they are free to free others through their letting go. So again, that emphasis is on relationships. You free yourself, and then you free others through this process of letting go. As you have received, so you give. Or extend outwards. The miracles are a way of earning release from fear. Corrections are a way of earning release from fear. Free yourself from fear. Revelation induces a state in which fear has already been abolished. Miracles or corrections are thus a means, and revelation is an end. The corrections are just a means. Revelation is an end. So look at diagrammatically, the corrections help raise you up into an awareness of your true self or Christ, which is a necessary precursor to the revelation of pure formless awareness and perfect love. The revelation is the top level. Revelation is level 1, we could call it absolute reality, and correction happens at level 2 to correct the level confusion of level 2, because that can mean level 2 doesn't even exist, but we think it does. So there's a correction that happens in the mind. And corrections get you there. So corrections are the signposts. Revelation is the destination. Signposts point you to the destination of revelation. When you're in revelation, in this revelatory state of pure formless awareness, perfect love, there's no need for corrections anymore. So these ultimately fade away and are undone. So corrections praise God through you. Corrections praise pure formless awareness of perfect love through me. They praise him by honoring his creations, affirming their perfection. Corrections praise the pure formless awareness of perfect love through me. They praise it by honoring its extensions. Corrections praise pure formless awareness of perfect love through me. They praise it by honoring its extensions, affirming their perfection in the process. They heal because they deny body identification, affirm spirit identification. So when we truly do a correction, we raise ourselves up into another level of awareness, above the level of form, into the level of mind and the true self. And that is healing because we're not misidentifying ourselves anymore. We're affirming our true perfection as spirit. 30, by recognizing spirit, miracles adjust the levels of perception and show them in proper alignment. This places spirit at the center where it can communicate directly. So by recognizing pure formless awareness, corrections adjust the levels of perception and show them in proper alignment. This places the pure formless awareness at the center of the mind where it can communicate directly. So by understanding the top level, pure formless awareness, entire perception comes into alignment, coming from the correct place of pure formless awareness, perfect love. Places pure formless awareness at the center of the mind where it can communicate directly. Saying identify with pure formless awareness, perfect love, and then extend from there. And that's just a decision. You can decide to Number 31. Miracles should inspire gratitude, not awe. Corrections should inspire gratitude, not awe. You should thank God. I should thank pure formless source, perfect love for what I really am. Should thank pure formless awareness of perfect love for what I really am. Extensions of perfect love are holy. Not innocent. And correction honors their innocence. It can be hidden but never lost. Correction should inspire gratitude, not awe. Should thank pure formless source, perfect love for what I really am. Extensions of perfect love are innocent, and the correction honors their innocence, which can be hidden but never lost. Be grateful, but never awe, because awe is only appropriate for our source. Correction happens at the level of form. So I should thank the formless awareness for what I really am, but without being in awe of it. Extensions of perfect love are innocent, and the correction honors the innocence, which can be hidden but never lost. So you can hide it, but you can never lose it. I inspire all correction, all miracles, which are already intercessions. I inspire all miracles, which are already intercessions. Intercede for your holiness and make your perceptions holy. intercede for your holiness, innocence, and make your perceptions pure, placing you beyond the physical laws. These fractions or intercessions, they intercede for your innocence and make your perceptions pure. Placing beyond the physical laws, they raise you into pure form of someone as perfect love. In this awareness, placing me beyond physical laws, they raise me to pure form of someone as perfect love. In this awareness, I am perfect. So again, we raise ourselves up out of the identification with form and the physical into transcendent state above the battleground. Yeshua says, true self, which then can perceive everything correctly, not get sucked into the game, and understand that I'm innocent, I'm holy, because I'm connected to my source, pure form of source, perfect love, which is all of these things by definition. Miracles honor you because you're lovable. Some corrections honor me because I am lovable. I dispel illusions about illusions about myself and perceive true awareness in me. Corrections honor me because I'm lovable. They dispel illusions about myself and perceive the true awareness in me. So they atone for my errors by freeing me from my nightmares. Corrections honor me because I'm lovable. Miracles honor you because you are lovable. They dispel illusions about yourself and perceive the light in you. Dispel illusions about myself and perceive the true awareness in me. Dispel illusions about myself, perceive the true awareness in me. So they atone for my errors by freeing me from my nightmares, releasing my mind from imprisonment of my illusions, and restore my sanity. So all of my illusions keep me bound, limited in bondage, but they release my mind from the imprisonment through letting go and restore my sanity. So Miracles restore the mind to its fullness. Corrections restore the mind to its fullness. Atoning for lack, they establish perfect protection. Corrections restore the mind to its fullness. By atoning for lack, they establish perfect protection. Strength of pure forms, so there's no room for intrusions. So they're completely correct for any vision of lack and scarcity. They're complete, they're whole. And so I'm perfectly protected. Miracles are expressions of love. They may not always have observable effects. Corrections are expressions of love, but they may not always have observable effects. So you may not always find an effect in the physical material world. Doesn't mean they're not there, because it's a change in mind. Perception is really important. Sometimes they do, but sometimes they don't. So it doesn't matter. Actions are expressions of love, but they may always have observable effects. Miracles, examples of right thinking, aligning your perceptions with truth as God created it. Corrections are examples of right thinking, aligning my perceptions with truth as pure form source. The perfect love extends it, so God extends truth into my mind, and then because of that extension, I have right thinking, and my perceptions are correct. And I don't get level confused. I don't make what is unreal real. It's all about correcting perceptions, right thinking, aligning my perceptions with truths. It comes from the truth. From this top level. Always coming from the truth, but by the true self, it's going to perceive the world from the perspective of perfect oneness. Make any corrections that are necessary. Miracles a correction introduced into false thinking by me. Miracles a correction introduced into false thinking by Yeshua. Acts as a catalyst, breaking up erroneous perception, recognizing it properly. This places me under the enlightenment principle, where perception is healed. So this has occurred, knowledge of true reality, knowledge of the divine order is impossible. Knowledge of true reality is impossible while I'm level confused. It's a miracle or correction. breaks up erroneous perception, reorganizes it properly. So it's a pattern interrupt, breaks up the normal default thought system and pattern of the ego. Until this has occurred and I've interrupted the pattern of the ego, the knowledge of true reality is impossible. So the Holy Spirit is the mechanism of miracles. Moments of perfect love is the mechanism of corrections. It recognizes both God's creations and your illusions. It recognizes both perfect love's extensions and my illusions. Separates the true from the false by its ability to perceive totally rather than selectively. So it sees the bigger picture. It's not limited to just time and space and form. It's a transcendent level of awareness. And that's the mechanism of these corrections. So we raise ourselves above the false level into the true self and ultimately into pure form, so it's perfect love. And so from that higher perspective come the corrections and the recognition of truth versus illusion. So discernment between true and false is key. Can't accept both into our minds. It's the key non-dual teaching. It's one or the other. We must accept the truth and deny the illusion. Otherwise, we are confused. They're all confused. So the miracle dissolves error because the Holy Spirit identifies error as false or unreal. Correction dissolves error because the moments of perfect love identifies error as correction dissolves error because the remembrance of perfect love identifies error as false or unreal. This is the same as saying that by perceiving pure formless awareness, unlimited awareness automatically disappears. And the original is miracle dissolves error because the Holy Spirit identifies error as false or unreal. This is the same as saying that by perceiving light, darkness automatically disappears. It's the same as saying that by perceiving pure formless awareness, limited awareness automatically disappears. So we translate light as pure formless awareness, darkness as limited awareness. Perceive limited awareness, then I deny the light, true awareness. I accept just pure formless awareness, which is the light, then limited awareness automatically disappears because pure formless awareness cannot be limited. It's pure formless. There's no limitation, lack to it. So the miracle acknowledges everyone is your brother. The miracle acknowledges everyone is your brother and mine as a way of perceiving universal mark of God. Correction acknowledges everyone as my companion and my Yeshua's companion. It's the way of perceiving the universal mark of God, or the universal mark. Correction is everyone's mind. Yeshua's companion is a way of perceiving the universal mark of perfect love. Everyone is the same. We all have the same self, which is a derivative of perfect love, and that everyone has that universal mark, perfect love. Wholeness is the perceptual content of miracles. Wholeness is the perceptual content of corrections. So they correct or atone for the truly faulty perception of lack. Wholeness is the perceptual content of corrections. So they correct or atone for the faulty perception of lack. Lack is a misperception. There is no lack if there's only eternal abundance. So it must come from wholeness, oneness. So we're correcting for the faulty perception of lack. Major contribution of corrections is their strength in releasing me from false sense of isolation, deprivation, and lack. And these need to release me from all of that which is false. Corrections arise from a corrective state of mind, state of correction readiness. Miracles arise from a miraculous state of mind or state of miracle readiness. And so we must be prepared and ready, always vigilant, ready for the corrections. Correction is an expression of an inner awareness. My true self and the acceptance of its at-one-ment. So I raise myself up into the Christ, true self. And then my perception must change. And in this true self, we are one, because there's only one self. Correction is never lost. Miracle is never lost. It may touch many people you have not even met and produce undreamed of changes in situations of which you're not even aware. Correction is never lost. It may touch many people I have not even met. Correction is never lost. It may touch many people I've not even met and produce undreamed of changes in situations of which I'm not even aware. And so it has impacts beyond just what I can see in time and space. affects the whole of humanity, really. So Holy Spirit is the highest communication medium. Remembrance, the Holy Spirit is the highest communication medium. Miracles do not involve this type of communication because they're temporary communication devices. When you return to your original form of communication with God by direct revelation, the need for miracles is over. So translated, the remembrance of perfect love is the highest communication medium. Corrections do not involve this type of communication because they are temporary communication devices. When I return to my original form, communication with pure form source, perfect love by direct revelation, the need for miracles is over. Remembrance of perfect love is the highest communication medium. Corrections do not involve this type of communication. So temporary communication devices. I return to my original form of communication with pure form source, perfect love by direct revelation, the need for miracles. The need for corrections. We don't need to correct once we're in the state of pure form source, perfect love, which is revelation. There's no need for correction. We only need corrections as long as the illusion of time and space continues, seem to exist. So a miracle is a learning device that lessens the need for time. The correction is a learning device that lessens the need for time. It establishes an art pattern time interval. So a miracle is a learning device that lessens the need for time, establishes an art pattern time interval, not only the usual course of time. The sense that it's timeless. Correction is a learning device that lessens the need for time, establishes an out of pattern time interval, not under the usual laws of time. What governs, shall we say, by the usual laws of time. In this sense, it is timeless. So obviously it can't, if the miracle designed to undo the entire illusion cannot honor the rules of the illusion, it must either cannot honor time and space. Correction is a learning device that lessens the need for time. It establishes now pattern time until not governed by the usual laws of time. The sense that it's timeless. It transcends time and space and all those laws, and demonstrates that they are ultimately false. So one miracle that transcends the laws of time shows that time isn't real. Shows the ego is aware of, and so that's why it defends its position so intensely. So we can escape time through the miracle of the correction. The correction, miracle is the only device to your immediate disposal for controlling time. Correction is the only device to my immediate disposal for controlling time. Only revelation transcends it, having nothing to do with time at all. So And just to recap, control time with corrections, but when we go into revelation, we are beyond time. So revelation is a state of pure formless awareness in which no time exists. So the miracle is the only device that's your immediate disposal for controlling time. Correction is the only device at my immediate disposal for controlling time. Only revelation transcends it, having nothing to do with time at all. So in the top level, level 1, revelation is pure formless awareness and perfect love, which is eternal. So there's no time. While we're still in time, the miracle correction helps us to control time and collapse time so that ultimately we can transcend time and merge into pure formless awareness, perfect love. The miracle makes no distinction among degrees in this perception. Correction makes no distinction among degrees of misperception. It's a device for perception correction. No device for correction of my perception. Effective, quite apart from either degree or the direction of the error. Hence, there's no order of difficulty in miracles. This is its true indiscriminateness. Correction makes no distinction among degrees of misperception. It's a device for correction of perception effective quite apart from either degree or the direction of the error. So it's true indiscriminateness. So it doesn't really matter what the error is. Because there's no order of difficulty in miracles. There's no hierarchy of illusions. Correction just corrects my perception. So it's indiscriminate. The correction can relate it to the first principle of miracles. There's no order of difficulty in miracles. So can make these corrections and be healed. Doesn't matter how big the error seems to be, how long it's been going on. So that's version thing. It's just a correction in perception. Finally, number 50. The miracle compares what you have made with creation, accepting what is in accord with it as true, rejecting what is out of accord as false. So the correction compares what I have made with extension, accepting what is change of creation to being. Correction compares what I have made with being, accepting what is in accord with as true. Correction compares what I've made being, creation, accepting what is in accord with it as true, and rejecting what is out of accord as false. So it's in accordance with true being, then I accept it, but if it's not, then I reject it as false. It's the only way we can do it. Because we can't accept both truth and illusion. Okay, so that is the 50 Principles of Miracles. I hope that was useful for you if you listened in. Thank you to Elaine McCum for joining and doing half of them with me. And yeah, I hope you enjoy those and learn from those. So namaste, which means the miraculous self in me acknowledges and honors that same miraculous self in you. Peace.